Ancestral Protector Poison. This build is made by Cant in 3.20. Now, this guy was able to kill Uber Series in 6 seconds with a 50 divine budget with this build. What is this build? How does it work? And why is this possible? A unique helmet called Wilma, introduced in 3.20. This helmet gives your cast speed into the attack speed, which boosts the attack rate insanely, and also gives you the Ancestral Bond, which is top left on the passive tree, and is quite impossible for any poison build to reach that point. And it makes it impossible to make it viable, a poison plus a totem build. But now, with this helmet, it's possible to get the poison totem builds, and it's possible to make it even more broken, due to the helmet giving the cast rate into the attack speed. So it will hit faster. Now, one of the easiest way to scale the poison is to increase the amount of hits you're providing while having a more base damage. So poison base damage is scales with Fizz and Chaos damage of the hits you're applying. So you're hitting really fast, you're hitting rapidly, you have frenzy charges, and the hit you're dealing has good enough amount of chaos damage. It will apply tons of poison onto the character, and it even caps the poison dot onto the Uber bosses. It's fucking crazy. So, how do you play this build? Which Ascendancy you should play? I recommend Trickster, but I personally played Pathfinder this league to see if the rework changes make it better. And short answer, not worth it, but still good option. Okay, let me start with the Trickster completely. Trickster has an insane amount of energy shield regeneration, which allows him to be so tanky when there's lots of monsters, such as a Simulacrum situation, or a 100% Delirium map, or a Breach. This will keep you alive. It has tons of regen, it has damage reduction, and it has +2 frenzy charges, and the build getting hurt by losing the frenzy charges during bossing. So Trickster have a positivity against this. Trickster gives you longer duration on your frenzy charges. So you keep your frenzy charges stacked more longer than Pathfinder can. And this will allow you to do the bosses more smoothly than the Pathfinder. But Trickster has some cons in it, Pathfinder has some pros in it. Now, what is it? Trickster has to use Wither Totems, because you cannot Wither on hit. But Pathfinder with the new reworks can. So you need to use a Wither Totem, or Wither instead. But I recommend using Wither Totem. It applies better with the increase effect. And you have to use the Wither Totem at the beginning of the fight. Does it hurt the way you use the builds? Not exactly. But you have to use another button basically during the bosses to get the optimal damage. In the Pathfinder, you don't need to do that. But the Pathfinder has the cons of having less duration of the frenzy charge, which will force you to go near the boss and use the frenzy charge skill. And it might get you killed, because the build is not tanky when you play Pathfinder. I mean, it's kind of tanky, but not enough. The flasks are not gonna be able to keep you alive, unfortunately. Like, you can survive 1 or 2 hits, but the more insane the bosses and the situation gets, the less likely you will survive. Okay. So Trickster has this pros, and Pathfinder has the Wither on hits and Poison Prolif after the reworks. Yeah, it's kind of tanky. You have the flask uptime all the time. You will use a unique flask, which will make your energy shield in the Eldritch battery. That way you will use it as a mana. Trickster doesn't need to do that, but Pathfinder need to do it. And then, what else? Can I league start this? This is the question. Short answer is no, because you need Wilma to make it optimal. But once you get Wilma, you can use the builds after you're done with the X, because you equip the Wilma, you put the links, the gems, and you're good to go. I would suggest starting at close to 70 level. Until the moment you get the Wilma, I suggest using Poison Concoction, Toxic Rain, or a Poison/Chaos damage over time. That way, you don't need to use so many Regret Orbs to fix your tree to the build that you're going for. I mean, you're still gonna use a good amount of Regret Orbs, but for example, if you play like cold-based build, you will have to use more. And in the league start, it is so expensive to invest in Regret Orbs. You will want to invest it on the items instead. So I suggest going a Poison kind of build, or the damage over time build. And that's it. The craft. Oh, let me start with it. If you want to use Claw, which I recommend, in the Trickster version, Cant used a sword, but it was only a 5 Divine Word sword. He didn't really invest into the sword, and he would still be able to kill Uber bosses in 6 seconds. So, I made a best in slot Claw, and the guide is simply in 7 steps. The first step, you need to buy a Void Fang. it has to be above 83 level. I recommend using 84. Don't go above 84 level. It will be better for you. Step 2. Buy Tier 1 Zeal Essence. It will give the attack speed when you use this essence. Tier 1 attack speed is mandatory. The more attack speed you have, the more damage you have, the more poison you inflict. Because the faster you hit, the more poison. The faster you hit, the more poison. That's what we are aiming for. That's why using haste, for example, is a really good scaling for the build. Okay, step 3. What are you gonna hit with the essences? Simple. You need to hit tier 1 or tier 2. Damage over time. Important note, this is not chaos damage over time. This is damage over time suffix note. You need to hit it with the essences you got. And I recommend leaving 2 prefix notes empty after you hit that. Because you need to proceed with better options. And you will need that. Why 2 empty prefix notes? I will explain in the future. After you hit the damage over time, attack speed from the essence, there must be another suffix to fulfill all the suffix. Not from the craft bench though. You need the exalt slam, or you have to be lucky enough to get 3 suffixes out of the essences you slam. But still, you have to need 2 empty prefixes, or 1. That's possible as well. Okay, we're at step 5. We need to use suffixes cannot be changed. It's a prefix. It's cost 2 divine. Why are we using this? Because we're gonna use Chaos Reforge from the Harvest. It will give us a base Chaos damage on the claw. So we will have 2 base Chaos damages, which will boost the base hit. We are hitting with the attack speed we got, so the dot is more strong. Once we get the base damage tier 1 or tier 2, I don't know how lucky you are. I have no idea. Good luck with that. If you hit the base Chaos damage, while having the suffix cannot be changed, of course, because you have to keep those suffixes. Don't forget, those are so important. The next step is basically put in 1 crafting bench, which is you need to craft bench. This will block when you use the Hunter Slam. It will block it away from the Hunter Slam to give you the Chaos penetration node, which is unnecessary. It doesn't do anything. So, still, you have chances to fail. This is the last step. You either hit it or the item will be sold for, I don't know, about 10 divines to 20 divines. Depends on how good the rolls are. Now, you want to get, chaos damage over time, tier 1 or tier 2, whatever the fuck. It has to be chaos damage over time. If you get it, congratulations, you have a good ass weapon. Alright. That's it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.